Hello, Hakan here. I want to talk about tickless updates and how fighting games will benefit from it. It has the potential to reduce input lag and it can make rollback netcode less heavy on weaker systems. The tickless system was added to CS2 using subticks to reduce the time between you pressing a button and it getting executed. Subticks run on the server, but there is also a way to run it locally. But let's look at how CS2 uses it. In a regularly ticked system, when you press a button, it gets executed next frame, which adds extra delay. While in a tickless method, you can see that when a button is pressed, the action is executed instantly. Also note that if your engine takes 4 fighting game frames to process the inputs at 240 FPS, that would be 1 fighting game frame of input delay instead of 4. So here we execute the game logic at 6 FPS on the right while still rendering at 240 FPS and add a subtick when a button is pressed. Let's dissect. In the old system, when you press a button, it is executed the next frame, which is why you can have up to 16 milliseconds of delay. In the new system, it is executed instantly, which is why this picture is 1 frame ahead. After that, we also schedule a subtick for the first active frame of the animation. Let's look at it again at full speed. So let's talk about the async rendering. In the video, I was rendering at 240 FPS while ticking at 6 FPS. But in this example, I am rendering at 60 FPS while ticking at 6 FPS. So what we do is, we look at the current frame. It is animation idle, time 0.1, position 260, 0, velocity 100, 0. We predict the next frame using the animation data and the velocity, which gets us animation idle, time 0.26, position 276, 0. So now let's look at this frame in particular. This frame is 100 milliseconds after the first tick, so we will interpolate between this frame and this frame using a 100 millisecond offset. The animation at this render frame will be idle, the time will be 0.2 and the position will be 270, 0. This is what we render. Even though this is not getting executed, we still render this for a smooth visual. So let's look at how it works with rollback netcode. At 100 millisecond ping, if you press a button, it's received 6 frames later, and then you roll back 6 frame, and then you simulate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. In a new system, when you press a button, the button is received 100 milliseconds later, in this case the next frame. You roll back to the frame before the subtick, which is this frame. You add a subtick, you simulate that, and then you execute this frame too, and then you end up with 2 frames of simulation for 100 milliseconds, which is 3 times less than the old system.